Hello, dear Snoop Dogg, and dear CNN, and dear Olympics. You guys are still further recorded how being used involved with medical racketeering with child sex offenders, also with various natures of courts. Originally, still recorded how maintained victim predators. For example, they're pretending things are debatable that are not. For example, if I ask to have the proofs of this reported, you guys are preventing it by pretending the judicial branch can't be told on. And they're pretending to be against that by, for example, misprision. And I'm not a lawyer, not police for, I'm not a criminal. I like to stay that way. And they need to hurt whoever's gonna they need to hurt each age of fact treating each other. They're involved with human trafficking recorded roles. With WFSB attaching me little kids to fake locations, fake natures of relationships to people, and complete strangers like a Joshua Julian. People that almost completely and a Joshua Stryker. People on and off Trinity College. No, Snoop Dogg. Leading up to the Trade Center attack context, and since it, with a pattern of racketeering, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, and then criminally denied, using crime methods, forging names into branch, switching names into branch. Again, having used WFSB, WTNH, Fox Connecticut News. Now, these are also people recorded, confessed, demonstrated, they involved with racketeering with in the a defendant, former director of the FBI, in his defendant capacities in a 2006 case, was involved with these people with various natures of courts that were recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by people, strangers that sought me out to make confessions about identity of the ground, location uses, and about people on CCSU, and with courts involved with them, and with people tied to them with racketeering, and with the racketeering uses of that tied to people as with Lena's Pizza on Park Street. Now these are also people, I didn't tell them that, but also that area, those identity of the ground locations had been recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by strangers, which I didn't understand when I was in high school. I understood it was tied to lie progressions involved with database racketeering, which is on and off campuses connected. And now these is again human trafficking through time, attaching little kids and their families to fake locations, fake words, fake ties to other people. And then these are people inside and out of cases proven through time, faking things recorded into databases, falsified police reports, the branches of government, crime actives, and methods individually grouped and together. So not just every branch of government, every individual about it originally still criminally foreign influenced and delusions raw. And that's in the way of police reports. See how they force child sex offenders right through administrations? These are juxtaposed natures of racketeering with kids and with each age of fact treatment nature. See how they justify what they call standards for elderly by using economics. Now, see how this is again how you can't defend with private and us at the same time. For example, with what was entrenched that way, to have everyone defend roles as slaves, as fact treatment nature slaves, and keeping it so it's the worst. They put the color in there, black and white agencies. That's most scientific. The internation sciences, a minority of, took over criminally foreign influence internation sciences in a way they knew would affect, and they could perpetually exploit state scenarios, victim predators, right through only allowed through criminally foreign influence science, intercampuses relation, database relationships, lie progressions only capable of being valued, blamed on other causes, other things themselves from those positions, from off the ground of education's value, on off database relationships, especially campuses relationships, which are value as temporary. The republic is only temporary positive with that, and it is still only temporary positive where temporary slash lasting positive is value per science dictate now per which is going to actually cause evolution per actual. We have debatable what is not debatable if you have free speech. We have proper evidence reception. See, we have research, and the term research, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with and as mass victim predator criminal seriousness natures, and in conjunction with uses of the terms like logic. You see, you can't pretend you're about logic and or nor integrity or ethics if you have entertained not just things like slavery, but blamed on the wrong things, but that self value. That's a racketeering method as clear as day. Would put those crazy laws, and if and you know, database monitor before computers. This is already, again, the identity of the ground, native pure. It's relationship to our fact sheet nature for what's evolution actually. See, they want every exception criminally foreign influence. That's why they have like the great things like medicine that's real, healthcare that's real. They have that indifferent to being worse than indifferent to being roles with racketeering with psychology, with a whole bunch of nations, police forms, also as doctor of psychology, delusions, rot, criminally foreign influence, whole bunch of racketeering methods. For example, uses of the identity of the ground, locations like campuses, each science of the campus. These are perfected crime methods that have a distinct nature of criminally foreign influenced executive branch. It's always been like that. So it's within as the value of each identity. Humanity is an identity of negative value, nature, progression, self value. Per the racketeering method that came from since before modern religions, which are still not live free speech with us. We have the identity of the ground, different religions recorded and involved with the racketeering method, also connected to and as people, connected on and off parks, on and off campuses of each age and nature, even intercities, and even private and public schools. Even if you're homeschooled, they have homeschool people involved with this racketeering, with the knowledge, with the intelligence community already involved with all kinds of natures of racketeering, again, not just from the branches of government, not just from all private tied to them, but from there. And it was, again, where that's exploited is where it goes to, which is live progression to all spots and areas regarding all people's values, and where all people need free speech to counter what was left uncountered, what was left self-valued, blamed on other things others themselves, and invested to. So we have people that it's already make opinions, but not right through administrations. Then they want to make opinions and have, oh, we'll have the courts decide it. Courts are recorded on off the state judicial branch offices, various natures of courts, Connecticut interbranch, various natures of police forms, their family members, their uses of their kids, involved with racketeering leading up to and in the Trade Center attack context, associated with the post-dated documents shown to the panel judges right before the Trade Center attack. Their uses of Snoop Dogg, of Trinity College, on and off Trinity College location. We have an officer who says his name is um, Darth Vader. Now, these are people also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated two-time racketeering uses of Saudis, also with people like KKK, Confederate flag, because they're racketeering with judges, with various interbranch drug cliques, identity racketeering cliques, again, database racketeering clicks, uses of live progressions, not only from there, but then going from campus to campus. And this is in relationship to databases. And they're preemptively um, fitting everyone to role self-valuing a theater in the suburbs. We're not going to see people in real life. And any exceptions, they're going to have a tie to branches already originally still already been attaching their roles with human trafficking. Note I brought that up before they did, not with that guy's name. Now note they're also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with other nations. They torture each other and pretend they're fake sides because they're counters to wars and crazy reactions to crazy things are with the directors here and there involved with the racketeering as the only allowed counters. like former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. Now there's a man named Mueller. I don't know if he's a real FBI director or was, or just one of the fake news things, but he's recorded confessed that guy named Mueller. In the picture they show who they present as him, and a guy named Comey recorded confessed to demonstrate also racketeering roles with Hartford courts clicks and with New Britain courts and Middletown courts leading up to and in the Trade Center attack, and then leading up to and in the 2006 case and other cases through time. I just remind that's why their actual motivations. We have to be able to counter women leaders involved with the men that are sick, where we have worse than the detention facilities leveraged against each age of fact treatment nature. Again, kept blaming the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, and all the things others themselves. For example, the people stacking in New York City. It's in one of the big pun videos. Huge. It's in videos. You see New York City people stacking. That pathology of infrastructure, that is only capable of having negative value nature progressions, acts and natures, and they're recorded having been the self-valued blamed on other things, others themselves, not groups wrong. No, like criminal enterprises. So they knew that this racketeering method knew that nations and A through Z were already had the they were going to have to blame the real cause. They were have to counter predicate acts by blaming them on groups wrong, and that's been a method keeping them invested, then defending that. Then they have to keep hiding from the free speech of those people they do that against and their family members and everyone. And so they did. This was already. They already knew. They have a whole stage. This is the stages of this played out. See, we don't have mandated law followed by the people who are pretending to be about for it. You have to understand that overt criminal enterprises and private ones already are, not only do they have influences over the branches already, their identities already as criminal and seditious nature, but all the people they use to try to figure out how to counter this and to overtly need to hide things by pretending to perceive things, by valuing fake recorded things individually grouped and together, being stuck into branches, recorded, confessed to demonstrate how to maintain criminally foreign influence. And then they force fake sides politics, only capable of legal representation where they're going to pretend it's politics. It's not politics. So it's again the only counter to war, crazy things like that are racketeering roles with our directors. Recorded the sequence shifts. These are election spots, Weathersfield town offices, intercities, fire departments, forging names, switching names, roles with racketeering with AT&T clicks, people who work for them, roles on off the campuses. You know, now they're forcing sustained crimes too, because when people talk, they have to pretend people are making conspiracy theories. They do that in other nations. Russians and Americans are also involved with this Leahy family that attached me to fake conversations with a whole bunch of people they had with various natures of courts associated themselves a kid, pretending they had conversations with me, associated with those courts putting kids and their family members to fake locations. Joshua Julian's also reported, confessed, and demonstrated with a whole bunch of people they also have with sexual crimes and uses of the New Britain Superior Court's Facebook page and interbranch family members. And they're ducking behind how they have like Asian families associated with an O'Brien family and people on and off the Weathersfield police station where they are now. Also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering uses and roles of self-valuing roles with uses of Church Street and Old Weathersfield and people tied to them with a whole bunch of departments at CCSU involved with racketeering leading up to and in the Trade Center attack, with and as federal criminal co-defendants of former director of the FBI Robert Luskin and their family members. Also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated a bunch with a whole bunch of racketeering with a house/S in my area. Involved further with them through time racketeering intercampuses of each age and with forensics locations and clicks and police forms, foreign and domestic, military, foreign and domestic. overt criminal enterprises and the stewards of the witness protection program, and those same criminal enterprises racketeering with the same people that I never even had a class to with and didn't even go to my school, and they criminally recorded themselves, confessed, and demonstrated by how to sequence. So then they hide that too with sequence racketeering from free speech, from truth. Their WFSB attached me to fake words, fake locations, my family. They did that also recorded with the after they were already involved with racketeering uses of WTNH and of Fox Connecticut News, also recorded with racketeering with intelligence community, foreign and domestic, overt criminal, all that. On and off the Wethersfield High School, the middle school, further with the principal sex offenders who had roles with other natures of racketeering, again with female judges, forging names, switching name, police forms. There's a whole bunch of people recorded and confessed through time. There's a detective, Sumuda, who's involved with this. He's also involved with human trafficking, forging names, switching names, falsified police reports with other police forms on and off CCSU. As a faked arresting officer, me switched his identity with Officer Magnanos and with officers from my town also switching names and forging names, and then threatening people not to say it and torturing people not to, pretending they don't realize that mandated law means this we need release from this and needed it a long time originally and still. Now, these are all kinds of prison cliques also involved with the foreign and domestic racketeering, here, private with medical racketeering, like with this Leahy family pretending conversations with me. And they have sequence shifts, various natures of courts, and their drug cliques involved with the human trafficking, with the falsified police reports. And so, so pick one name in sequence, Connecticut, and Snoop Dogg is if you hear this, could you respond? I don't think you would now because maybe I didn't ask. I asked online. They recorded confessed Wethersfield Police and New Britain Superior Court have their uses of their own Facebook pages also involved with Trinity College and with CCSU from off campuses involved racketeering. Now, the lawyer of former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, is down the street from the Harriet Beecher Stowe in the Mark Twain house there next to each other. And I don't know if he's still there. Robert Chevrolet. Robert Luskin, though, this was stuff that in a pattern of racketeering since before the Trade Center attack. Then they do sequence racketeering, trying to pretend they're other after. They used an Officer Hunter, who that might not be his name, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated also involved with intercities racketeering with CCSU and on and off their campuses with other confessed, recorded, and demonstrated strangers seeking me for help. But then they don't let you get help because that's how they keep people criminally foreign influence, and that's how they keep people. In other words, that's all ever been known. So they blame it on other things other than themselves, and now it's just jobs. These are people involved worse than racket extortion against every nature of city, suburbs, let alone suburbs like pathology, let alone urban areas. See, we have logistical human impositions in the science of our species, nature of volume, which is individual complete, which is group because it will only stay complete, as what's going to demonstrate it too. And as the species nature of volume, because it would only stay a complete body. We could make it other length of Hadis. That's the value of it. For space nature transfer. What is nature? Nature's identity, which is complete nature simultaneously, unceasingly, and increasingly as the nature of volume, as positive or negative relationship to itself, where we are semi-nature. That's why we could only be in its complete nature and its complete nature of relationship to itself and the value of that. Now, see, that's where we have value obligations by science, offensively by pseudosciences, interscience prevented. So now we have sensibilities, emotions with the masses of opinions, all fake sides of correlation nature's trinity, needing to debate the debatable by hiding exculpatory and inculpatory evidences of the people needing to use the sequence shifts and the physical delusions for evidences. Now we also have Russians, Americans, a whole bunch of nations with conspiracy theories that and with that are delusions raw with the racketeering involved with again with triages shared because of how we like triages like ERs also involved with mental experts, doctors like that and stuff like that, involved with the drug trade, forging names, switching names, because they have the phenomenon of the anomaly. We're not supposed to speak medical information even at courts. So those are drug clicks already involved with racketeering, again, from off the ground of education's value, on off ground of education, its value actual, its value system. Now, we have database relationships again since before computers involved with this racketeering method. Then, therefore, from there, exploiting the identities of the ground locations already been exploited. Who can't see? Who whoever said believes that there's science and they can't discern that and how the people stacking in New York City, in any city, any nature city, even suburbs, let alone. Which this is critical to understand how it's simultaneously, non-distinctly, the same way, same racketeering method, exploiting the suburbs and the urban areas simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly, and not by any of the individual or group, but the individual grouped and all together. The complete racketeering method, because this is all again juxtaposed motivations, natures, needs, interests, already having self-value, the precedence of everything, blamed on everything else, on other things, others, on selves. So people don't know how to answer questions, and when they do, they're not being they're not being permitted a quality of fact treatment nature with passions and with emotions, anything but vile and pretending to be against and pretending to be in sophistication. That's not politics. Those are victim predators. The branches individually grouped them together, in collusion with all private and with overt criminal enterprises, and with that foreign and domestic military sides that fight each other the whole time. Only defenses of quality of fact treatment nature, reliant upon states and areas in collusion with nations individually grouped together. Uses of all kinds of racketeering with psychology, with logic, the expert sick. Sorry, CT is stick to break, to find the seed. So we need federal stewardship of Connecticut. But it's complicated because we had you through time. They're involved with Russians. They're involved with Puerto Rico agreements, Mexico agreements. They're involved with these agreements that involve like shared policing, shared training of the stewards of the prisons, like Sandy Hook. People on and off the state prison offices involved with them with the racketeering uses of CCSU. Also, that was used to influence to criminally foreign influence CNN to force, like they're using Snoop Dogg and they're using that woman from the of that woman's spokesperson with their lawyers recorded, confessed, and demonstrated indifferent, involved worse than indifferent, involved with the racketeering originally, and still that also recorded through time, confessed, and demonstrated they use lawyers for fake sides of fact treatments again as against kids specifically, because this is how they recorded effectively maintain adults that are all liars pretending to be pretending other people are liars, using other people's information, pretending not to realize that and how it could be recorded and is recorded, that and how we have foreign and domestic police forms in collusion, pretending things recorded into databases, roles with human trafficking, like two Mendez police, like a whole bunch of people tied to a Dillon family with military, foreign, and domestic, overt criminal enterprises, racketeering roles with untimely deaths tied on and off Trinity College, involved with untimely deaths in my area through time connected, per their confessions that brought it up, and verified on Facebook. They've been lying about it on Facebook. Then they started directing people to pretend I had conversations with people I don't know, and then they confessed that they had family members in the CIA. See, they all got messed up because they were speaking. Everyone was speaking through others when they were little kids, and there was database racketeering with that, where it's a crime method where they're building fake sites of fact treatment nature against anyone who's going to have the potential, any nature of integrity that's actual, and with not blaming the real causes of all the negative value nature progressions, action natures, other things others than on cells. So it is recorded. This is not just inter campuses in Weathersfield racketeering. This is intercities through time. They recorded, confessed, demonstrated. CCSU is also involved with racketeering uses of the north end of Hartford through time, of the south end of Hartford, of places on and off the campuses of each age and other connections. So now the intelligence community, that phrase is also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved. These are various natures of courts involved racketeering originally still. You could see as clear as day if you follow what is true always. Which one is so easy to see. You that people stacking. We have machines, and that's what you build. Come on. When you make when you have a magnet, then you put a coil in it. It makes the electrons start moving. So when you keep moving it by it through it, then you can get that into a thing. So like a windmill is spinning a magnet around a coil, and that coil is interacting. That magnet is affecting the electrons in the wire. So now they're moving through the wire, and then they go to the grounded ends. And then all we have to do is figure out how to store this and how to perfect this, which is 1,000%, which is clean, but compared to nuclear, and plus this is clean because we could. Now think about this: it's no good that people stack vertically or horizontally, but fish love it. And then you take away. Oh, but we need to make an industry, not by accident. That's why we need natures of reliefs. That's why there's a big difference between the word injunctive reliefs and I'm not a lawyer. Injunctive reliefs, but again, lawyers are in collusion with branches individually grouped and together, also in collusion with nations individually grouped and together against every surface value of the Constitution, in collusion with and as what recorded keeps effectively or methodically recorded keeps sub rows of statutes self-valued that you can't defend the language of that without being a trick fact treatment agent. They need to hide it as directed to. See, we have the branches of government raised the same way the overt criminal enterprises were raised to that because they are raised by and as the same thing. Boxing, military, foreign, and domestic collusion. People that pretend they hate Saudis, even if they really do, because